Good morning. How are you all doing?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
We
morning.
got
Good
a
morning.
Good
great crowd
morning.
coming in here already. Wow, Mayor, it's great to have you.
Yes.
You're representing Higginsport, Ohio, on the river. Good to have you. Thank you very much. Scott, good to see you. Chris, congratulations on
Morning, Brewster.
good morning on the Mill Creek piece.
Thank you.
That's so cool. You might want to mention that. Margaret, good to have you. David Hudson. Hey, Jack. Thank you, Eric. Wow, Patty, good to have you here. Thank you. And Ben is here. Ben, wonderful to have you join us, man, from way up your way. That's great. And Stephen, thank you. Chris, thanks for joining us. Yeah, we got more people coming in. Francis is in the house.
Good morning.
How you doing, Francis? Good to see you.
Good.
All right, Sam, thank you.
Perfect. Margaret, it is good to see you. When we run through the agenda and we get to the conservation committee, you'd be welcome to offer a little bit on your talk there.
Yeah, I can do that, and Jack can help out too with that too.
Sweet. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, great. Christy Knowles in the house. Thank you, Christy. Good to have you.
Hello.
The Boone Conservancy. John Nation, the best photographer east or west of the Allegheny. How's that?
Thank
No?
you.
All right. We're going to wait a couple more minutes as more people come in. Hey, Cassie, how are you? Good to see you. Meet NKY is in the house. We love it. All right, Joseph, thank you. So, folks, if you wouldn't mind, I'll repeat this one or two more times. Put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat so that folks will know who is in the house. Okay, Matt, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if you heard us, but name and organization affiliation in the chat. We'll get going momentarily. Hey, Sam, you had a great groundbreaking, right, for the new Bellevue Park? How'd that go?
Yes, we did. It went very well. So we are very excited to be adding this additional space right on as part of our beach park. If anyone's familiar with Bellevue right down there, it's got some very big trees on it that we're very excited about and to add to the park for our whole community to enjoy. So thank
Right
you,
on.
Brewster, for bringing it up.
Yeah, hats off, hats off. And I wasn't able to make it, but I know that Jody Robinson was there for us. And would you mind sending us any press release and or photo to info@Ohio River Way so we can share it with other people? Okay.
Yep.
And one last thing before we start, Chris Shack, can you mention what you unveiled on the Mill Creek a couple last Saturday? Chris? Yeah, Chris
Sorry,
is the owner of Shack's Yaks. Go ahead, man.
sorry, I was muted there. Yeah, so we actually just got back the map this morning. So we actually have a map of the Mill Creek, like I guess you say like an animated cartoon map to kind of specify where kayakers are supposed to go on the Mill Creek. And it has been very busy. It's had over 22 rentals since we opened last Saturday. So it is a very popular site. And
So this is one of your Shack's Yaks kayak kiosks, and it's now on one is the first one in Cincinnati. It's on the Mill Creek. So
yep.
that's off to you. Great. Thank you, buddy. Okay, folks, if you haven't already done so, please put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat, and we'll get started in just a quick second here. I see that Tracy Coe is in the house here with ODNR and the Clean Marina program. Thank you. Catfish, good to have you, buddy, as always. Linda Fester, well, rocking in Higginsport, Ohio. Great. And Nia, wonderful to have you with the Division of Water. And Molly, thank you very much. The Archaeological Research Center or Institute in Lawrenceburg is in the house. And so we're getting too many people that I can't keep up with everybody. But why don't we begin here? And I just want to welcome Brewster Rhodes, the board chair of the Ohio River Way, and really appreciate you all joining us today. I see that we have Evansville in the house. Laurie, way to go. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
And I,
Uh,
I also see that I believe for the first time we have some folks from Otter Creek Park in Meade County on the call as well. Thank you all so much for joining.
wow. So
Yeah.
please put your name and organization affiliation in the chat so everybody knows who is in the house. So thank you. David Wicks, you are under Fife. but it's good to see you there, buddy. David is the co-founder of the Ohio River Way and runs River City Paddle Sports, among other things. So why don't we jump in? And this will be, I think, an informative and fast-moving meeting. And I'm going to turn it up now over to Forrest. So take it away, Forrest. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brewster, and thank you all so much for joining. We did not have a meeting last month, so we have quite a few updates. I'll also say we do not have a guest speaker today, so we might get done a little earlier or just have some additional time at the end just to have some open dialogue. To kick things off, just want to run through our updates before we then go through and talk about Confluence, our October convening in some greater detail. And to get started there, last week we were in Washington, D.C. for Ohio River Basin Day on the Hill. Matt, I see you're on. It'd be great to have you speak to that. But first, Francis from our team, I know you've prepared some remarks. And Francis, if you'd like, I also have those one-pagers up and can share those.
Yeah, feel free to do that while I'm talking. But yeah, I joined the party of folks that went out to represent the Ohio River Way. So it was myself, Forrest, and Mike Perleberg from One Dearborn. I don't know if Mike's on this morning or not, but we went out to DC for what was the third annual Hill Day organized by the Ohio River Basin Alliance. And the way they have this set up is we meet in the Rayburn offices and do sort of a kickoff in the morning of Hill Day. It's prompted by the pending legislation that was dropped last year, and we are waiting, hopefully by year end, maybe in November, for the next iteration of that same legislation that's been sponsored both years now by the caucus chairs in the House, Morgan McGarvey and Representative Houchin out of Indiana. And so we started off in the morning, had an event with Morgan speaking, Representative McGarvey speaking, inspiring us to go talk to legislators to, one, have them join the caucus. The House caucus isn't completely full of representatives yet, and it'd be great to get more caucus members, but also talk about the pending legislation that, like I said, was dropped last year. It's not expected to change very much, but around the restoration initiative. But before we divided and conquered, and speaking to legislators, we had representatives from American Rivers and the Environment Institute and ORWA all spoke on behalf of the initiative before we got going. And then we split up and went and talked to legislators about the restoration initiative. Forrest, you can fill in the color in the lines about when we may expect the legislation to come out. I know it's in legislative services at the federal level, so they're taking essentially the same draft they had last year, and they're redoing it, refreshing it for this year. I don't think we expect much of it to change from last year's version to this year's version. But we will need both House and eventually Senate support from the full caucus for this piece of legislation, which is what we were angling for.
Yes.
Anything I forget, Forrest?
Sounds right. I mean, as a refresher, this was modeled after efforts around the country. It would create a non-regulatory pot of money, essentially, to fund efforts related to clean water, habitat restoration, flooding mitigation, and recreational infrastructure. Here's that bill from 2024. We do not know when it will be reintroduced. Francis, you talked about the members of the caucus. Here is a map of the basin with the members of caucus in green. And this is pre this Hill Day, so we should see a few more folks joining. I was in a group with Matt on the call. Matt, I'd love to hear your thoughts. We met with every Kentucky House district except Congressman McGarvey, being that he's sponsoring the legislation. Personally, got to sit down with Congressman Massey for about 20 minutes, which I would imagine that a lot of you all in Kentucky would be represented by Congressman Massey. And he is supportive, and it was a next level of support of talking about strategy in terms of how to make this happen. So we are very grateful to have the offices along the Ohio River Way highly engaged in this, whether that is Congresswoman Houchin, Congressman McGarvey, Congressman Massey. We're very grateful for that. Matt, what are your thoughts? I know you were there and a part of it, so would love to hear.
Yeah, I got to we got to attend the Kentucky contingency. Essentially, I was very encouraged by the reception that we received from all of the Kentucky representative offices. We didn't get to speak to any of the representatives directly itself, except for Rep. Massey, which I think forced you and Molly might have caught on the way out. We were, I think this is what his representative said when we first went in, that we were supposed to meet directly with Representative Massey, but just before we went in, he had to leave because of shenanigans on the House floor, and so. So I'm not real sure what he had to leave, but he got back in, and it sounds like you got to talk to him directly.
Mhm.
But all of the other ones was their staffers, and they all were very supportive, and even went as far as to say that they feel like that their bosses there
Yeah.
were supportive as well. So overall, it was a good meeting. It wasn't the first time I've done something like that, but it was very much a learning experience for me too. I really enjoyed being engaged.
Perfect.
I would add
And
that I thought it was useful to have it was well organized by ORBA. It gets better every year. And I think it was almost as useful to have all of us out there together working and communicating about what are you doing? It was a lot of time together to find out what everyone else is working on. That is part of this whole larger initiative to get this legislation passed. So I think that was a useful thing to network with people who are of the same mindset.
yes. And we're talking about an appropriation that would be recurring on the scale of multiple hundreds of millions of dollars. So that is, all up in the air, all TBD. The folks that are smarter than me say they think this will happen. The question is when. So as the coalition supporting this has slowly grown support consistently. We have not plateaued or stalled yet. Are there any questions on these efforts before we move on to our next point?
Were there any other people on the call now who were in attendance who might want to chip in as well? Maybe we got everybody.
Mark, you were there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I met with with 3 Indiana representatives that had districts in the Wabash, on the Wabash River and the White River in Indiana, and they were all positive meetings. And I think we actually got one confirmed addition to the caucus. Representative Mark Messmer from the 8th District of Indiana, that stretches clear down from around Lafayette or Terre Haute south to Mount Vernon. And anyway, I thought it was well organized, and they were ready for us and asked good questions. And I think we got our message across.
Good deal.
Good effort.
Yeah, it's productive. The last thing I'll add, it's funny when you're in DC, the folks you meet is we only met with House offices this time, but walking down the street, I saw John Fetterman. So I got to meet him and introduce him to these efforts to Pennsylvania. Part of it is in the basin, and handed him a map of the basin and the caucus members, and he was interested. He wanted to keep it. So at least for folks in the basin, I think there's a compelling ask here.
Yeah, I had a direct meeting with Representative Davidson out of Ohio, and most people were meeting, and aside from those who were able to catch the actual legislators, we were meeting with staff.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay, let's move on along. We got a few more points to cover.
Before we go along, if everybody who hasn't already done so, could put their name and organizational affiliation in the chat, then folks will know who's in the room here. So thank you.
Okay, perfect. So as you all may know, we have a part-time program coordinator on our team as of earlier this year. She could not make it to today's call, but I wanted to update you on some of the work happening there. So in partnership with nonprofits like River City Paddle Sports and Paddle Perry, the Ohio Riverway is launching multi-day Voyager canoe trips next summer. Currently, we have 3 scheduled with youth groups, 3 5-day programs, 2 with YMCA Camp Pamingo, and 1 with Girl Scouts of Kentucky's Wilderness Road. And we think this is really important to fostering the next generation of leaders on all things Ohio River related. And this is, really deep programming for a small number of people. But we're very excited to be doing that. I will also share that Mary is looking at how we can expand our efforts downriver. So we have been scouting what it would look like to potentially connect all the way down to Evansville with our challenge next year. None of that is final or set in stone. It's something we are just exploring. Partially because in Kentucky we do work with the Kentucky Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority, and that is the whole river in Kentucky. So it is beneficial for us to go ahead and connect with those Kentucky communities. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you, David, for all that River City Paddle Sports does and those beautiful 30-foot canoes. And I don't know if Kelly's on, but she's let us borrow her beautiful 26-foot clipper canoes down in Cannelton. So yeah, if you ever know of anybody that wants to go do a trip on the river, talk to us. Mary from our team can look and see what is possible. Sweet. Moving on along. As you all know, the Ohio Riverway is charged with being a braided network of land and water trails. We've put a lot of focus into the water trail efforts lately, and as you've seen, we've received the National Water Trail designation. There's more we can do to enhance our water trail, and we're working on that, but we want to renew our focus on cycling. And on August 27th, we convened the DOTs, the DNRs, or their equivalent from Indiana, Kentucky, and Ohio, as well as the regional planning entities. So think OVRDC, OKI, KYOVA, and KIPTA for a nice alphabet soup of entities focused on regional planning. David Rudder from OKI is on and was a part of this convening, which is hopefully a first step towards a 30 or 50-year plan to improve cycling connectivity and safety. Would you be able to speak a bit more to what that discussion was like, and what direction you see this going in?
Sure. I thought it was a really good discussion that we had. And thank you, Francis, for having us in such a scenic location for that as well. But the conversation really focused on the fact that much of what we identify already as our route, which really was a desktop exercise looking at what was already designated either by the states as a specific bike path or bike trail, or trying to keep it close to the river. And of course, the stretch from Portsmouth to Cincinnati along 52 and even continuing on down, very scenic, but not always the most bike friendly stretches of the route. So be really looking forward to hearing from, and I forget his name, the gentleman that's going to be biking the route. And
yes, so yeah, this September, a volunteer with Tri-State Trails is cycling the entire current Ohio Riverway. So his name is Vlad, but yeah.
And he's not planning on following the exact route that we've identified because he doesn't, an accomplished cyclist and not feeling comfortable riding some of those sections. So he's going to be climbing up and down. So in order to avoid those sections, you really have to climb up out of the valley and get on the ridge tops. And, that's a lot of work, not undoable, but it is a lot of work. So we had a good representation of folks from up and down the river along the trail. And I think there was a general consensus that they really would like to continue the conversations and see what that would entail. And so, for OKI, that this is a very logical place for us to be involved as transportation MPO for the Cincinnati region. There's a significant stretch of this route that runs through our region, so we can spend time on that, and OKI in the future might be called upon to fund some of those projects. So I think it was really good. We had folks from both on-road and off-road organizations that were part of the discussion. So
Thank you, David. And this is, a different ballgame than our water trail efforts. With water trail, we had the access points were already there, drew a line on a map, called it a trail, and ensured there was communities for it. So there's mapping and safety information more required. The cycling effort will require hard infrastructure. The vision we're laying out is shared use paths within communities and improved shoulders, ideally bike lanes on the country roads between communities, so that this would be a route that for the road cyclist already doing it and the vulnerable road users who don't have cars, it's safer for the current users and a potentially attractive destination for enthusiast cyclists who want to go cycle 300 miles. So this will take a long time, but we are very excited by the support we've seen so far. So we've already applied to one planning grant through ODOT and answered clarifying questions there. We have not heard a final response, and I believe Caitlin Bailey is on. I need to follow up with you regarding where we're at with a similar application through USDOT for rural and tribal assistance that would also provide funding for cycling planning. But very excited here. Wade from Tri-State Trails and Brad with his team have offered to chair these efforts. So this will be a working group that meets every 2 months. And we know one of the first steps will be cataloging all of the existing cycling infrastructure and cataloging all of the existing planning for cycling. So if you ever want to talk about that further or be a part of those efforts, please do let us know. And we will be in touch as we catalog that and ideally get funding to make that work possible. Good deal. All right, next item on the agenda. Rachel, I see you were on. I don't believe this was actually in the agenda I sent out, but I was hoping you could speak to all that Orsenko is doing this October 4th with the massive region-wide river sweep.
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, everybody. If you haven't met me, I'm Rachel Toney. I am the Ohio River Sweep Program Coordinator at Orsenko. And we are coordinating a very large cleanup on October 4th in collaboration with Ohio Riverway, Mad Tree, as well as the River Roots Festival and over 30 other organizations. So there's going to be 13 sites in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky region. There's going to be about 6 sites outside throughout the basin, including 3 or 4 different states. So it's a really big initiative. We've been posting it on our website. It's also on the River Roots website and Ohio Riverway's social media. So if you're interested, I will put my email in the chat if you want to join forces and volunteer for that day. Or you could also register on any of those sites I just mentioned. So we're really excited.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to especially thank Rachel and her whole team at Orsenko. They've been marvelous leaders of this effort. And what we really want to do in the greater Cincinnati area is make the river shine for these 500,000 people coming to the region for the River Roots Festival. It's a big deal. It's the kickoff for the whole country's 250th anniversary, which technically starts next year. But they've authorized this event to be essentially the national kickoff, and it will be certainly one of the largest. So it's a great way to highlight the beauty and majesty of the Ohio. We just want to make it shine for everybody. So thank you, Rachel, for all your hard work.
Can you remind me of the date for that?
It's Saturday, October 4th, and you're gonna probably want to get to your site at 8:30.
And so, Rachel, if you could,
starts at 9.
could you put the link to the registration page so that people who would like to sign up, not only for the ones in greater Cincinnati, but the ones that are scheduled at other locations up and down the river? That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Good work.
Good deal. With that, and I'm so excited to be a part of the River Sweep on October 4th. With that, I believe those are all the updates we have from us as an organization. And we do not, again, have a guest speaker. but I did want to run through in a bit of detail our plans for our upcoming summit. So I hope that all of you all registered and plan to be there. We would love to see all of you there. It's going to be October 16th through the 18th in Louisville. We are co-hosting this alongside the Ohio River Basin Alliance, Kentucky Waterways Alliance, and the University of Louisville's Environment Institute, as well as staff from Thomas More University's Biology Field Station, which also staff the Ohio River Basin Alliance. And OSHA, I see you were on. Thank you so much for the Elsley Brown II Family Foundation being the presenting sponsor of this summit. Thank you. So this is a different format from our summits in the past in that it is organized by our partner organizations alongside us, and it has a broader scope than just river recreation and economic development. There is a meaningful focus on clean water, habitat restoration, and flooding mitigation as well. The first day is Thursday, October 16th. Registration will open at noon, and we will have field trips starting at 1. There are some exciting options for the field trips, and I will pull those up in a moment. I don't actually have them in this document. There'll be 4 field trips on Thursday and then 4 field trips again on the Saturday. We'll have an informal happy hour and trivia session as well in the evening. I will flag that 1 to 4 session will also have a bar open for folks to socialize if they're not on the field trips or between field trips. And that Thursday, if you're having an exhibit, is going to be the time to set that up. You can also do that very early on the Friday, but we will have the space available for folks to set up exhibits on the Thursday. On Friday, we'll see you bright and early by 8 a.m. when we start registration and networking with all the exhibits. Personally, in our last prior summits, I think this is the best hour of the entire program. Everyone is awake and caffeinated and excited to see each other. And if you're setting up a booth that morning, you'd need to be there before 8 in the morning. Our first plenary speaker, when we pull everyone together, will be Margaret Everson. And Francis, would you like to introduce Margaret real quick?
Oh, hang on. I can never remember her background. Let's see. She was well, I always botch it because there's too many titles to give it the true attribute, but she was one of the only people to have ever served in as both the head of the National Park Service and
Just
U.S.
the
Coast.
only.
The only person.
Yeah.
Not at the same time. Yeah, so she is coming out to provide some guidance on essentially, how to deal with this particular administration when it comes to issues that we're concerned about.
Yeah. So Margaret served in the first Trump administration. She also happens to have previously been part of the leadership at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. But yes, only person to ever lead both the National Park Service and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we're very excited to have her there. We're also fortunate to have dinner with her in D.C. last week. So from there, we will break into 2 morning sessions of breakouts. These are going to be quick. So these are each going to be 40 minutes. And these are what those sessions are going to be. I cannot adequately speak to all of what's going to happen in regard to the water quality and the flooding, but I know the Corps and Louisville MSD will be represented in those discussions. I will flag that we are going to have a meeting for the Kentucky Ohio River Regional Recreation Authority in that morning session A, led by our partners with Commonwealth Alliances. Additionally, in the morning session B, in the same room, we're going to have an interstate mayors roundtable hosted by my dear friend Greg Fisher. He was mayor of Louisville for 12 years and previously was president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. In his current job, he advises mayors around the world through Bloomberg Philanthropies. So we are very excited that he will be there and be a resource for our local elected officials and municipal administrators. So as you can see, a lot will be happening at the same time, and very excited for all of what folks have to say. We'll also have a discussion for our tourism professionals at that same time, focused on branding and marketing the river, with Jess from our team and Ava, a hospitality student at OSU, and Risa, a partner through the Ohio River Basin Alliance, will be speaking about how to make sure that folks understand they're part of the Ohio River Basin, even when they are far from the main stem. After our morning sessions A and B, we will have a lunch, more time to enjoy the exhibits, and a second plenary session with Jerry Ciavo James, who will be talking about increasing access to the outdoors for all, as well as Nancy Theis, who will be speaking to the history of the Underground Railroad along the Ohio River. So very, very excited about all of that. The afternoon, we're going to have 75-minute breakouts. And this will also be when the Ohio Riverways committees meet, which as you may know, our committees typically meet in person at our summits. So I believe we have representatives of a few of our committees on today. For the Conservation Committee, Christy, Jack, Margaret, would you all like to speak a bit to what you'd like to talk about during the summit?
Sure, I can start. First of all, let me say Margaret was also Assistant Attorney General in Kentucky. So
Okay.
she is uniquely, has a unique perspective on all this, which is awesome. So the Conservation Committee will get together, and I think Margaret and Jack, you guys can share what you will share. But we also will focus on, we're going to look at state by state, what is happening at the state level with conservation funding, right? Kentucky, we're really making a push to change the funding landscape in Kentucky. So we'll give updates on that. And then before then, I'd like to figure out who can help me with the Indiana, Ohio piece to discuss that. And then we will move on to how conservation organizations can be prepared for funding as it comes through, whether it's at the state level or the federal level. We just need to be ready. So, they always say shovel ready projects are what they need, right? So we're going to talk through the nuts and bolts of that and what that will look like so that our agencies can be prepared if we've got projects that we want to have happen. Jack, Margaret, you want to chime in?
I can say a little bit. Yeah, we plan on presenting basically what GIS can do as far as kind of assisting with the Conservation Committee goals as outlined for the Ohio Riverway, showing off some of the data, some of the tools, some of the metrics that we can use that to give given the decision makers the tools that they need to make the decisions and help apply grants, and we showing what we've used in the past to accomplish these goals, and hopefully also kind of show what emerging technology we can use to help look at things in the future when it comes to even some of the recreation sites. But we'll discuss more of that at the session itself.
Perfect.
Yeah, she pretty much covered everything. We'll demonstrate some of the tools that we have and how people can use the tools that they need in their own communities as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you all so much. I'm greatly looking forward to that. For the Tourism Committee, I see we have Cassie, Mary, Noel. Are any of you all on to speak to some of that? I know we've been talking about modifications to the agenda for this meeting even up to yesterday. So
Yeah, I can kind of speak on that for you, Forrest. Some of the topics that we're going to cover during our meeting are we want honest feedback on the guide, this year's Ohio River Way guide. So hopefully you have all had a chance to take a look at that. So we'd like to talk about your feedback on that. Next year is America's birthday. We're celebrating 250 years. So we kind of want to talk about, what are people in their communities doing next year to kind of, celebrate that monument we have as a country. And then we're also going to be talking about how do we collectively change the narrative that the Ohio River is, dirty and dangerous. Like, how do we help promote and change that narrative together, about our river on the up? So that's a brief overview of what we're going to kind of look at. So hopefully that helps.
perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for helping put that together. I know one thing Noel told me recently at we had a strategic planning meeting is, it's not just we've talked about changing perceptions for a long time, but what's the brand we fill it with, right? So the Ohio Riverway just applied for a communications and branding grant through U.S. Fish and Wildlife for a big river ready campaign. That doesn't have to be the direction we go in, but just how do we define what the brand is for our corridor? So I hope that meeting helps with that. Um, I'll also flag, so just taking a look here. I'm very excited that Megan with Endless Summer Paddling is going to host a discussion for outfitters. Chris Shack, I hope you were there. And just an opportunity for outfitters throughout the region to actually sit down and talk about common challenges and opportunities. In the afternoon session B, we'll have another meeting focused on cycling connectivity and safety, a follow-up to that meeting David Rudder was talking about. And we're going to have a discussion specifically about land conservation and recreational access. So that's going to be a panel and presentations that I'm really looking forward to, where Margaret will speak again about the Land Water Conservation Fund. Andy Dickerson from Cardinal Land Conservancy will talk about land conservation efforts that they're working on. And our colleagues who are on today representing Meade County and Otter Creek are going to talk about all of the exciting work happening there, which real briefly for Jordan, for the folks that have no idea what Otter Creek is, can you share where you all are and what the relationship that park has with the river?
Yeah, I'd love to. For everybody that hasn't met me, which is pretty much everyone except for Forrest, maybe a couple members of his team, the Otter Creek Outdoor Recreational Area is located here in Meade County. It's just a little over 2,300 acres that sits nestled right along the Ohio River. We're just about 45 minutes to an hour south of Louisville. And we're kind of nestled between Owensboro, Elizabethtown, and Louisville. So several metro areas feed into this region for outdoor recreation. So Otter Creek has a very long history, dating all the way back to 1937 when it was established by the Department of the Interior, and then was under the stewardship of the city of Louisville for nearly 60 years, until it was passed to Kentucky Fish and Wildlife, who's had it since 2011, I believe. We're very excited to be working with the Department of the Interior and Kentucky Fish and Wildlife to actually transfer those deeds and ownership from the state and Kentucky Fish and Wildlife back to the Meade County Fiscal Court. That's going to give us an opportunity to pursue a lot of funding that's unavailable to us now since we don't hold the deeds. But wanting to be very actively involved with Cora and the Ohio Riverway, because Meade County has, I believe it's over 50 miles of riverfront here in the county. And we just really want to highlight that here in the region and focus on our outdoor recreation.
So thank you, Jordan. I think that'll be a really interesting session. Otter Creek won't be a state park, but I think it'll be similar in terms of the scale and the sort of amenities that are there. So I think we should think of it in the context of Shawnee State Park and General Butler in Kentucky, as well as Charleston State Park and the Rose Island Amusement Park in Indiana. So thank you so much for doing that.
Very welcome.
Do we have any Orville folks on? I don't believe Paul Tancati is here. I know the history committee will meet as well. We'll have a reception that Friday, the 17th, with some speakers that are not quite confirmed. So I won't share, but think a more cultural talk then that I'm very excited for. And finally, on Saturday, the next day, so October 18th, this will be just really a morning session, but we're going to have Jordan Lebetkin with the National Wildlife Federation introduce some of the efforts to restore the Ohio River Basin. And then we're actually going to meet with Congressman McGarvey and Congresswoman Houchin, the co-chairs of the Ohio River Basin Caucus in Congress. So We will be meeting in person. It looks as though they may be joining virtually, but we have a great space for that. And we will be facilitating a questions and answer session with them. So they'll be speaking directly to the legislation they've introduced and answering questions from folks in our audience. So very unique opportunity there. As you can see, this is bursting at the seams with some awesome programming. And I'm just so excited to see all of you all. At the moment, we have around 200 registrants. Right before this call, we were at about 194. I think we can get up to 400. So very excited. I don't believe anyone else from the planning committee is on, but I see Nick Hart is on from KWA. Is there anything you'd like to add from KWA's perspective as a co-host of this?
No, we're super excited. You guys have done a great job of outlining the agenda, and we're super excited to have everybody in town and very thankful for our partners. Appreciate it, Forrest.
Well, we appreciate you, Nick. This would not have happened without KWA and without the Ohio River Basin Alliance and without Envirom. It's taken a village. Perfect.
Hey, Forrest, if I could just say, I know that for a number of you, going down to Louisville for this event is a pretty long drive. It's a big commitment of energy and time. But what the team has pulled together is an incredible agenda with very skilled and impactful resource people and speakers. And so you will walk out of this getting to meet tons of people up and down the river from different communities with different state and federal agencies, the key people in Washington. So you'll, with colleagues in tourism or recreation or conservation or natural resources management. So there's so much you can get out of spending 2 days in Louisville networking with folks up and down the river and nationally. So I really encourage folks who haven't yet made the commitment to come to look at it very seriously, make your schedule work, come on down there and join us. Nothing beats being face-to-face in person for developing the relationships that will benefit your organizations and you personally. So please make an effort to come. Right, Forrest?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gonna be a party.
I'm sticking to it. Okay.
So I posted the registration link in the chat. I believe we're at $85 right now through around the start of October. I think it's the 6th. So go ahead and register.
And
I'd
that
love to see you
includes
there.
all kinds of meals and oh my God,
Yeah.
it costs us more to provide that stuff to you than the registration fee. But thanks to our
Yes.
sponsors, we can make it all happen.
Yeah. Yes. And I will flag, we're grateful to the state of Kentucky for helping make this happen. It was the Secretary of the Tourism, Arts, and Heritage Cabinet that helped us nail down the Kentucky International Convention Center for this. So top leadership of the state has been a part of helping make this happen. All right. Sweet. We have wrapped up a bit early, so I think would love to hear from you all with any updates you all have. I believe Rich Kogan put in the chat that you have an update from the Ohio River Foundation. You all have your big coffee event coming up, right?
Yeah, excuse my voice. I'm getting over a cold. That's why I put it in the chat. So, but quickly, yes, we have a Cincinnati Coffee Festival at Music Hall Ballroom in Cincinnati, October 25th and 26th. And it's a pretty exciting event from a fundraising perspective, but also a couple thousand people show up. And it really is an opportunity to sample specialty teas from around the region, as well as coffee and pastry and live presentations and latte art, throw down all sorts of stuff. And so please, if you have not experienced something like this before, and we're talking about vendors from Indiana, Indianapolis, from faraway East Coast, West Coast, Alabama, of course, Louisville, but I think it's something to be experienced. Then I also put in there that we recently were awarded a $1.3 million grant for wetland construction in the Scioto River watershed. Some of you may know that right now we're removing a small lowhead dam just south of Louisville, and since it's a private owner, they want to be a little bit mum on that, but I hope in the next couple of weeks to be more public about that particular project. And then lastly, on behalf of ourselves, KWA, and the other advocacy groups, if you do receive any action alerts, as some of you know, there's quite a bit of an effort, not just through EPA, but a couple different agencies to roll back and weaken certain regulations that have been in place for decades. And be very helpful if you would please just comment on on those particular links that are sent around so that we can get those comments into the different agencies for consideration. Thank you very much, Forrest. Look forward to the event, the Confluence event, and we're happy to be a sponsor.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Rich. And I have the coffee festival on my calendar. I've never been, so I'm very excited to experience it.
Well, Rich, I also appreciate the Ohio River Foundation being a sponsor of the lunch, one of the sponsors for the lunch after the October 4th River Sweep in Greater Cincinnati. So appreciate that. Go ahead, Farsh.
Who else would like to chip in? Chris, if you're on and able to speak, could you speak to all that's happening with your kayak kiosk? I know there are more going up all the time.
Is he still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm actually out in my garage building one right now. So um
Awesome. Well, Chris, you're muted, but in any case, I know we're talking about getting some of those on down in the Evansville area, right?
yeah, so we Evansville area. I just talked to the mayor down there in West Point. We put a kiosk there before the flood, and it got destroyed before when the flood went through in April. So I know he had a lot going on down there, so we kind of left that as a sidebar throughout the summer. But we're excited to get that one open back up by next spring. I know there's a bunch of other locations. We just had Somerset just call us yesterday about getting two down there at Lake Cumberland. We have a few more that are kind of popping up all over the place. So we are definitely expanding as much as we can throughout the area. And we are working right now with a new insurance company on getting some bikes put in these areas too.
Hey, Chris, do you have a season that you're sort of focusing on? I mean, do you leave things there year round, or are you trying to steer people to a particular season?
So according to our insurance policy, when the water temperature and the air temperature do not equal 100, so it can be 40 degrees water temperature, 60 degrees air temperature, and that's fine for kayaking. But when it gets anything less than that, that's when you have more of a risk with hypothermia, less than 30 minutes. So that is when we are done. So I would probably say, well, I don't really know if this year how the weather's gone, but I would say mid-November is when we probably lock everything up and it is done for the season. But we are still placing. I just had a conversation yesterday with the judge executive. He was talking about us maybe placing one next spring, and I said, if you want to, we can still place it this year, so we get pictures with the trees, with leaves on the trees, and it actually looks like it's active and everything. So I would say mid-November is when we're pretty much done.
Yeah. So, Jordan, I don't know if you've met Chris before. Chris places kayak rental kiosk, and Chris, they cost $400, right?
They're $400 for 3 kayaks. Most places usually take six kayaks total, so 2 buildings.
Right.
So it would cost a community $800 for something that we take care of all the insurance. We put active AI cameras at all the locations. We put solar lights there, so there's a light on the kiosk at all hours of the day. So we really don't require anything other than a commitment of saying, hey, you can place it here, and here's the financial commitment. That's it.
So if I could just say briefly, it's great, Chris, to have you be in this business and covering this metropolitan area and all the way down as far as you can go. I also want to point out that Nikki Gerber, who runs Moon Doggy Livery in Adams County, is doing a similar kind of project. She's focusing mostly on the upstream end of the Ohio River Way. And wouldn't it be great if every community would have easy access for its residents and visitors to being able to paddle safely on the Ohio and especially its tributaries. So, anyways, it's a wonderful development for all of us, and take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good deal. All right. Tracy, are there any updates from ODNR and the Clean Marinas program?
You're on mute.
Hi. Nothing that comes to mind off the top of my head. We are hosting a natural disaster response workshop next Tuesday, open to all marina owners or anyone who's interested, in learning more about, what they can do to make their facility resilient on the water. That is going to be at Alum Creek Marina and is free. There'll be pizza provided. People will get to go in the water, deploy boom, put out fires with fire extinguishers, lots of cool stuff. So if anyone is interested in that, feel free to send me an email. And I can drop that over here, but that's kind of the only big thing we got going on right now. Thank you.
Sounds very interesting. Yeah, you said that's this coming Tuesday, the 23rd?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And I'd just like to point out, we have two mayors on the call here from Higginsport and Maysville. That's wonderful. I think we have Lester, good to see you, and Deborah. You may be, it may not be you on the phone, but I know your office is represented in Maysville. Thank you very much. I know we have West Point represented as well in terms of elected officials. Thank you very much, folks. Yeah, we'll keep it rolling. So anything else there? Anybody else like to share anything that they announcement about event coming up or some exciting development? Bellevue had a dedication of their brand new, well, actually a groundbreaking for their new riverfront park yesterday, the day before on Tuesday, and that went very well, I understand. Molly, do you have something to share?
Yeah, so we are actually working right now. I know it's a little bit far in advance, but we are planning our second annual pumpkin stem event. So last year we teamed up with Carriage House Farm and our experimental archaeology team built a trebuchet, and we launched around 80 pumpkins at Carriage House Farm with our trebuchet, and we are working on that again for this year. So November 1st, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Carriage House Farm, we will be launching more pumpkins.
And just remind people, Molly, you're with the Archaeological Research Institute in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, correct?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha, dear. Okay, thank you. Anybody else have an announcement to share with everybody on the call here?
This is Deborah Cotterill, and I can share that even though it's been a couple years since we got the Riverfront Development Grant, and that's been a little discouraging because that process has taken so long, but we did get good news that because of that delay, they added another $1 million to the budget. So not
Whoa.
bad.
Wow.
So just to make sure everybody knows, Deborah is the mayor of Maysville, beautiful Maysville, Kentucky. And oh my God, that's fantastic. So delay pays?
Wait, I don't know how that works. So the federal government was slow about paying you and then they decided to pay you more?
Yep, that's exactly.
Wow. Well,
congratulations. That's just great. Wonderful
does
job.
that complete the I don't know what the budget is for that. Does that get you every built essentially? Do you need more funding? Or is
For that phase of it, that will cover it. We were awarded 6.5, or I mean 1.65 to start with. And so it's like at 2.7 now.
And Deborah, that will connect your downtown by a bike trail to your marina, and it will also pay to upgrade your marina. Is that correct?
Yes, and add some canoe launches, some entertainment areas, in addition to those things, boat slips, and a portable or a mobile gassing unit because we don't have the ability to sell fuel there right now. And this will give us that ability.
So congratulations, Mayor. Is that the FLAP program, the Federal Lands Access Program?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was the year in which there was no match. There was a sweetheart time in which there was no match for that program. And Dr. Wicks was sending people out to chase it.
Well, and we had budgeted a little bit, and there may be some minor things that we will add, but essentially, yes, it takes care of it.
Fantastic. Well, what you're doing in Maysville is being complemented by what's going on in Higginsport and New Richmond, and Ripley and Portsmouth and Ironton with the money that is coming from the Appalachian Regional Grant Program that the governor set up 2 years ago. And the groundbreakings took place recently with the governor personally in all those communities. So it's so cool, all these things that are happening, all the investments in riverfront development. So gosh, hats off. Very cool.
Mhm.
Well, and because we're not an ARC county, the FLAP grant really helped us.
Good point.
Mhm.
Cool. Anybody else?
So, Mayor, you reminded me. I did want to share with everyone. I'm currently at the National Outdoor Economy Conference. At the moment, I'm in Cherokee tribal lands in North Carolina. And there have been many interesting connections here, including with ARC staff who have encouraged us to reapply for ARISE planning funding for our region, which ARISE funding is not something that will exist forever. So I think it's something we should go for. We do not have a plan together for that application yet, but we will. We will.
Great. Anybody else? An announcement to share?
Really, this is Eric Schweikauser. I sit on the Meade County Otter Creek Board. Meade County did receive a grant for Otter Creek. It's through IMBA, which is the International Mountain Bike Association, and it's a $60,000 matching grant to revitalize the trails and get the trails ready. So we're pretty excited about that grant and getting things kicked off once we get a hold of the park. So
That's wonderful, Eric. Congratulations. Whoa. Well, we'd love to have you come to the summit if you can and participate in the cycling roundtable discussion that Forrest has set up.
I'll be there. Looking forward to it.
Oh, dynamite.
Perfect. Good deal.
Hey, I want to make sure everybody knows that our friend Greg Roberts is now he has a new position as the village manager for Moscow, Ohio. Congratulations, Greg.
Well, thanks, Brewster. Just getting my feet wet here and really looking forward to re-engaging with the Ohio River Way and all the great people, all the great things you guys are doing.
Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful to have you, buddy. And Chris Klingman, did you want to share anything about your Shiloh event in Claremont County, Ohio?
Well, October 4th seems to be a popular day, but that's the 100th anniversary of the dedication of the Shiloh Lock and Dam 34, the old Wicket Dam that was on the river there. And so we're having an afternoon celebration there at the park. Some music and food, and firemen are doing a chili cook-off and have a touch truck and that sort of thing going on. And we're going to hopefully unveil our plans for refreshing or upgrading the Shiloh Lock 34 museum there on that day. So looking forward to it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, congratulations. Hey, Cassie, thanks for the reminder about river routes. The Ohio River Way is encouraging folks up and down the river to join us on a riverboat ride. There's like 9 riverboats coming in from all over the Midwest, and one of them is the Natchez from Nashville. I think it's from Nashville, regardless, or Memphis. But 4:30, I think it is on Friday, the 10th. That Friday is a day when we are encouraging everybody who is involved in our organization to buy tickets, and we'll all gather at someplace on that big boat that has like 400 or 500 people on at any given time. It's only an hour tour, but it'd be great to have a drink or two and visit with everybody. So if you have any interest in coming to River Routes, please make a reservation for the Natchez, either 4 or 4:30 on Friday during the festival, which is the 8th through the 12th of October. And by the way, we have coordinated with the River Routes leadership a travel showcase opportunity for tourism agencies up and down the river to have a presence there. And a number of you all are scheduled to be there with the 10 by 10 booth. And of course, we will be there as well with an Ohio River Way booth to try to get people who are coming in from all over to spend extra time while they're in town traveling up and down the river. Okay, going out to Maysville, going down to Madison, going down to Louisville, going up to Higginsport. Okay, so check that out. Anything else there, Forrest?
Um, let me put a link in the chat. Today is Give for Good Louisville, which is a 24-hour day of giving, hosted by the Louisville Community Foundation. There are chances for contributions to each contribution essentially makes the Ohio Riverway eligible for prizes that would be, additional cash contributions from the community foundation or other partners. Very, very excited that one of our board members has chipped in $3,000 as part of this. And this morning we've raised $555 so far from I think 8 or 9 donors. So modest, but if you would be interested in supporting this work, even $5 would mean a lot and make us eligible for some of those matching opportunities. So in any case, wanted to share that.
I see that David Bell said, "Hey, Origin Park. That's another
Yes,
opportunity to
yeah.
give." Well, okay,
A
great.
lot of the nonprofits in the Louisville area are participate in this. So
Great.
yeah, perfect. I think that's it. And perhaps even Brewster, we should wrap up early.
That's great. Anybody like to stay for a little water cooler chat? Please feel free to do so. But we're going to give you guys an extra 2 minutes on your schedule to get back to.
Thank you all so
very
much.
We look forward to seeing you ideally at the summit, if not another time along the river. Thanks so much, folks. Stay around if you'd like for a little follow-up chat. Forrest and I will be here for another 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
We love company.
I was trying to push John into saying something about the upcoming. He's still here, but John, there's cleanups happening at Payne Hollow.
I see you're there now, John.
Yeah, you're there now.
Good luck unmuting.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, I'm unmuted. Let me find those dates. It is Sunday, September 28th, and Sunday, October 26th. There are cleanups at Payne Hollow and arrive. Each workday will start around 11 a.m. At the Jalapeno Base Camp, and we'll walk on down. And you can RSVP to info@paynehollow.ohio.org.
That's a good opportunity for people who have never been to Payne Hollow, because at this point it's not open to the public, and if you want to go see it, then you got to do it by sweat equity.
Yeah. Sweet.
And Forrest, was this our last coalition meeting before the summit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we won't have one next month because we'll be in person.
Yep.
Yeah. Ben, what's the news in Lewis County?
Yeah.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to speak a little bit. We have recently had 29 students from University of Kentucky. Professor Tracy Miller brought her landscape architect students to Lewis County, and we broke them off in like 3 different groups, and the students are going to get to choose which project they're going to try to give us some conceptual drawings and stuff. So Brian Storrs, of course, helped arrange all that, but we're really looking forward to seeing what the students come back with, some ideas of how we can implement some of those things that will work for the Garrison boat ramp and things there in Vanceburg, and then farther on down, which we didn't get the opportunity to take them to Concord, which is the smallest city in Kentucky. They have 18 citizens. So I'd love to see something happen in Concord. My grandmother was born and raised there, but it's pretty cool to have a town with a mayor and city council with 18 people living in it. But
oh my God.
Yeah. Wow. So which program at UK were these students a part of?
They're landscape architect students, so they're doing their this semester. Their community project is Lewis County to try to develop some ideas. And the students were just they love the river. A lot of them had never seen the river, but we had people some of their students was from Boston, all over America. That's University of Kentucky students. So it's really awesome to have them in Lewis County and just getting to showcase kind of some of the stuff we've got there.
We thank you for sharing that. We love that program. We work with them a lot, and they've done some design assistance in other communities along the Ohio Riverway too. So
there is one project there, the old bridge. It was built in 1882. It's in Vanceburg that connects the city to the boat dock, but it has no decking. It's really old, but
we've seen it.
It's one of the oldest ones of its type in Kentucky. I think it is the oldest one of all documents I could find, but they need an engineering study to be able to do some work on that. If we could redeck it just for walking traffic and stuff like that, but you know how it is, we're impoverished. Of course, we can apply for grants and stuff, but find a way to do that and get some engineering or something. If you guys got any ideas on something like that, what would be the best route to take would be awesome.
There's the, am I off mute?
Yeah.
There's the RTA program that was, so is this Ben asking that question?
Yes.
US DOT has a rural tribal assistance program that helps with feasibility studies and economic studies and that sort of thing. It's first come, first serve. It opened a week ago. It's a very simple application, but it's trying to get those types of resources to the parts of the country that need it the most. And it's got more money in it than it normally has. It closes in like a month, but it's first come, first serve. So I would jump on it if you're looking for something like that.
Francis, could you make sure that Forrest has that information to share with Ben?
The Rural and Tribal Assistance Program?
That's the same program that we were getting Maysville and Madison. We were hoping Maysville and Madison would go in with us on.
Maysville may have applied. I need to give them a call, but Ben, I'll email you a link to that right now.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, good to see you, Ben. Thank you very much. And thanks again for being such a generous sponsor of our challenge. That was just wonderful. So
appreciate you all. You do good work.
Appreciate that. So Jim Bishop, what's the latest there from Indiana Trails?
Hello, Forrest and Rooster. How are y'all doing? And the rest of the group. We're looking for a good group to come down to the Confluence in Louisville. We got a lot of people signed up, and we're really looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, we saw that. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Also, really pleased to hear that pushing the paddling challenge all the way to Evansville. That is wonderful news. I think that's great, and I know our friend Kelly Hess down in Telsey. He'll be ecstatic about that. I think that's just great. We're really happy about that.
Well, and Jim, we need to get together sometime in Jeffersonville with the Indiana Trails folks.
Yeah, we'd love to.
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah.
I think,
we need to get a date and time down. I'm sorry, I need to get back to you on that.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, we're looking forward to anytime you want to do one. We'll be more than happy to meet with you for sure. Absolutely.
All right, perfect.
Because we want to be involved with the cycling as well. Because we know the Tri-State Trails probably taking the lead. That's perfectly fine. But we'd like to be involved in some way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and your all's connections in Indiana will be really helpful.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Jim. Mark Young, anything you want to share with us there, buddy? You're so engaged with this work. We just really appreciate it. And we love, Mark, how you're on mute, but we love how you so often boost and make comments about our social media postings, and we just really appreciate you chipping in there, buddy. But you're still on mute. Yeah,
I'm here.
Great.
Yeah, thanks. Just want to let everybody know that on September 27th, Saturday, September 27th, Falls of the Ohio Foundation will hold its biggest fundraiser of the year. Rock the Rocks, it's called. And this is a concert, a gig out on the 390 million years old Devonian period fossil beds, world's largest exposed fossil beds. And anyway, it's there's be a group called Mother Folk. It's an indie rock band, very popular. It's on Public Lands Day, September 27th. Couldn't get any better than that. So anyway, invite everybody to come out. Just go to Falls of the Ohio website, and the information is all there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sweet.
And Forrest, maybe we can mark that down and can include it assuming we have a newsletter going out before then. That sounds
we should make sure it's in the newsletter and mark that as on my calendar. I am looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Good.
So, Brewster, Francis, you've heard me talk about Otter Creek quite a bit. Can you all think of any other place similar to this on the river? So like 2,000 acres right on the river, rock climbing, horseback riding, campsites, primitive right at the river as well, caving, horseback riding, summer camps there?
There's
Francis, is
also
there?
a very prominent historic disc golf course that's located on the property.
Yes. An abandoned convention center that hopefully we can do something with. An abandoned nature center, I hope we can do something with.
Absolutely. There's also the Van Buren Lodge, which we've identified as being we're already talking with the Kentucky Heritage Council about getting some funding and some support on revamping the Van Buren Lodge and turning that back into a rentable space.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Francis, there's nowhere else quite like that, right?
I what I would agree. I get not in a public setting or what is could potentially be public like that. But I think it's kind of nice to think of this as bookends for the Ohio River Way, almost like with Shawnee State Park at one end, or the Wayne National Forest in two at one end, and then another. We should figure out how to make that happen on Indiana somehow. Like sort of a challenge to the states to create large landscapes like that. But this is a great opportunity for you guys down there. I would love to come see it.
It's
You are
beautiful.
more than welcome. Anybody that's interested in coming down to visit Otter Creek, especially from a programming and planning perspective. Judge Koch, Forrest, and I have all had meetings with various offices trying to put together a dream team, because we're under no illusions that this is going to be a county park unlike anything else available in the state. This is going to be on par with some of our smaller state parks in terms of scale. And Forrest mentioned there is a convention center on the property that's quite large and overlooks about a 5-mile stretch of the Ohio River, which if you get a chance to visit, I'll take you down there and show it to you personally. But it's breathtaking. And that structure eventually is going to be home to somebody that we bring in through a P3 partnership to get some funding to turn that back into a convention space, a restaurant. We would love to get connected with somebody in the bourbon industry to turn that into some sort of tasting room or experience. There's the sky's the limit on that little piece of property that overlooks the river.
Awesome. And my law firm helped write the P3 legislation for the state of Kentucky, so we can help.
Please.
But P3 gets used, the terminology gets used sort of in strange ways. But it's leasing to someone, I think, is great. I think that would be awesome. But I would love to come see it. Maybe I can do it when I'm down for the Confluence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
and Francis, you should come, and we should bring Margaret too and have a little, our own little trip out there.
Session. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Especially if she's going to be on a panel with Jordan later.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually have made some headway as well with the nature center that's on that property.
Okay.
That's kind of near and dear to a lot of people's heart here locally, and it's in pretty rough shape. But we've actually drummed up some interest here locally. We might be toying with the idea of relocating our Meade County History Museum and turning that into a dual space as like a visitor general information center and a history museum, because we want to try to connect people with the local history that exists in Otter Creek, because it is just so vast and so rich in history that we really want people to be able to get that information in the visitor center and then walk out of the building and immediately go to the place they just learned about to be able to engage with it. So we're really excited about that. It's in the infancy, but that is the goal.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. Oh, and Jordan, John Nation on this call used to work at Camp Flamingo, which
And
everybody else is inside of Otter Creek.
And
That's
our
awesome.
family would we'd go out to the Van Buren Lodge and stay in these little cabins. Are those cabins still along the ridge up there?
They are. Unfortunately, they have kind of been reclaimed by nature. We have sat down and had a lot of planning talks on what best to do with those, what I'm going to call riverfront cabin, that section that exists between Piamingo and the river. And I think short term, the best thing we can do is remove those structures because they are dangerous and they're not savable at this point. But we are looking at the opportunity to turn those into what I'm going to call premium campsites.
Okay.
To add them onto the existing Otter Creek campground to kind of expand that out and start putting some other locations around the park. We also are trying to get some folks involved with backcountry camping available in the park, because there's about 25 miles of trails in the park that go through just some of the most scenic, beautiful land in the Ohio River Valley, right there along the river. So we're very interested in getting some of those backcountry rough campsites on the trail system as well.
Cool. And Mark just sent a note about Ren Smith. She was there when I was there. She's great.
She's a treasure.
So another river related thing for folks. So at Otter Creek, there's a 19th century train wreck in the sandy banks of the Ohio, which last a month or so ago, Mary and I paddled to from the river. I mean, it's in the sand, it's in the banks, and Jordan, you all are talking about putting a trail to that train wreck, right?
Yeah, if the museum goes through, we'd like to get some professional pictures taken and get those in the museum so people can engage with that, and then get directions to go down the trail to actually physically visit that site. Right now, it's a little difficult to get to with the terrain and the trails washing out and everything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the way back from when Rockhaven, the settlement, existed in Otter Creek before it was removed. So that's, again, just part of the rich history of the property.
Yeah. So I mean, and you can climb all up in those train cars. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not that that's recommended, but
yeah,
pretty
probably advise against climbing up in the rusty train cars, but
from the 1800s.
Yeah, being able to see them though is just there's a lot of places in Otter Creek where you can go.
I gotta get off. Thank you.
And just get transported back in time. So thank you.
Okay. Cool. Sweet.
The notion of trail to a train wreck is pretty hilarious, and
yeah,
I think honestly it would probably get people to do it.
For sure, that's the plan. We want them to engage with all the different amenities in the park. That's
an amenity.
Yeah, the trails, the campground. I should have mentioned this earlier when we had everybody on the call, but we are in the very, very beginning stages of putting together programming back in Otter Creek that's broad spectrum recreational and not just wildlife management programming, which is great, and we're keeping that. But we want major events to be hosted at Otter Creek. We want to get the tourism aspect going on back in the park to help drive revenue, because that's really what Meade County is going to be relying on from the local level to be able to reinvest in the park and make it grand. And that's the plan, is to bring it all back.
Okay.
Forrest, I actually have something to show you, because you're not going to be at the advisory board meeting tonight. I think you'll find this interesting.
Okay.
There we go. So I have been working on rebranding for the park here recently, and this is what is getting presented to the advisory board tonight, and then ultimately fiscal court, as the new Otter Creek logo.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah, I put this together, so I'm hoping everybody likes it.
So what do we have? Hang on, I see disc golf, fishing, hunting. What's that lower?
Camping.
Horseback riding. Oh, camping. Okay, that's a 10.
Yep.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It is.
Beautiful.
Nice.
So
beautiful.
So Forrest, does he have your vote?
Yeah. Not that you need it, but I'm just excited about all of what y'all are doing. It's a great logo. That's awesome.
Hey, Jordan.
Yes.
Hey, this is Chris with Shack Shacks. So I mentioned we have the spot down there in West Point. We were looking to open it this upcoming year, and then the flood decided to not let us do that. But if you guys have interest in like a kiosk down there, let me know, because it would definitely help us to where we do like our geo advertising. You're probably about, I don't know, 10 miles away from that location. So we could probably advertise the two of those together, which would kind of help us grow the Louisville region that we're trying to grow down that way too. So keep me posted about that if you guys have interest in either the kayaks, the bike usage, or kayak storage of personal kayaks.
We're going to have interest in all of that. I can already tell you. We've got about 5 miles of Otter Creek that goes from 1638 up to the river. And then if you go from Otter Creek 5 miles down the creek and then get in the river, you can actually go all the way down to the city of Brandenburg, to the riverfront property there. And that's about 8 or 9 miles. of waterfront that you can travel via kayak. So we would be extremely interested in that, as well as all of the trail improvements for the bike riding. I know Eric, who I think jumped off, he would be super excited to talk to you about getting some bikes available for those trails.
Yeah, keep me posted.
I just sent you to an email to make sure you'd have each other's contact.
Okay.
Chris, do you have this, Francis again? Do you have connectivity to the Great Miami folks?
Like the Great Miami region, or like the Great Miami, like the river?
The Great Miami Riverway people, a commiserate entity like us, but not.
I
They
do
don't have a coalition. I'm sure the people who Miami Conservancy District and the Great Miami Riverway people would love to check out what you're up to and potentially get some kiosks.
Yeah,
So,
if you want to connect, I'm not familiar with that group, but if you want to connect me with them, more than happy to do so. And we are planning for 2026 already. So like we are actively building all winter. So we're planning on trying to get as many knocked out as we can.
when we connect on the safety thing, I'll connect the dots on Great Miami Riverway stuff.
Yeah, let me know.
All right.
I think Ginger Clark is the executive director, I believe. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Ginger? Yeah.
That sounds right. Cool. Well, I think we've talked through everything. Thank you all. It is so nice to catch up with you all on all the incredible stuff you all are doing.
Do you have one quick question about the Natchez event down in Cincinnati? Is that related to the bourbon tasting as well down there? Do you know anything about that?
I do not think so, and I am also ignorant of some of what is happening. Brewster was the person to talk to there. All I know is that he has found a time and a boat for us to be on together. So.
Oh, that'd be a lot of fun. Okay, thanks.
Yes,
That's on a Saturday? Friday. On Friday. Okay. We'll talk to Bruce. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
I'm glad you all know. All I know is I'll be in Cincinnati at River Roots.
Okay,
I just blocked off my week. Yeah. Okay,
Thank
sweet.
you.
All right. Thank you all.
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna get in my car and drive from the Cherokee Lands to Louisville. So good to see you all. So good to see you all.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, you all.